Hello everyone, this video will talk to you about Makoko, the floating community that's in Lagos in Nigeria. This is your example of how urban planning is improving the quality of life for the urban poor. So to recap, the picture you can see on the screen is of the floating school in Makoko. So this is in Lagos Lagoon. Lagos Lagoon is home to one of the major slums within Lagos, and is trying to cope with the rapid changing population. The population is exploding in Lagos and growing by about 600,000 people each year. Hence, the slums have started to develop out over the water. Now these people still need services, so Makoko School was set up to help educate some of the children that were living in the slums. So all we're going to do here is go through some of the positives, so the opportunities created by this, and then some of the challenges as well. So I'll annotate the opportunities in green and the challenges in red as we go. So one big boost here is this was built in 2014. So built in 2014, the whole idea here was that 60 children could be educated and given opportunities in the slum. Okay. Now, that's not to say that this was just for children, okay? Because this was also used as a community centre too. Let's add that one in. So, used as a community centre and as a school, that's definitely socially sustainable. So it's helping the development of people, and in particular, is helping people to learn. Massive positives then. The structure as well, you might be able to see at the bottom, is built on stilts. So if this is built on stilts, it's designed then to cope with the rising water level. So we know one of the impacts and knock-on effects of global warming are rising sea levels. So in theory here, the stilts should help to cope with that. On the roof, those blue panels you can see are solar panels. Now these are great because they're cheap, it's environmentally friendly, but it's also providing the power for the school as well. We've got slats on the walls, providing ventilation and shade, especially important to cope with the rising temperatures in Lagos too, and a playground area as well. Okay. Now the playground's really crucial part of this development. It's environmentally and socially sustainable because we know the plants are going to use CO2 and they're going to produce O2. So that's great in terms of maintaining a healthy environment, but it also gives children a safe space to play and a space that they can relax in as well. And last but not least then, perhaps one of the most impressive features here is that the rainwater is collected and stored. Okay, and you might think, well, why is that important? Well, that's used then to water the plants that are in the garden and also to create an aesthetically pleasing environment for the school. So if those are all the positives then, you want to think, well, are there any negatives? Okay, if we go back to the first point we made, this only educates 60 children at a time. Now 60 children isn't a lot, is it? Okay, if we think about the size of the slum, sorry I've missed that out. If we think about the size of the slum, 60 children is like a drop in the ocean. It's not a lot at all, especially when you consider that the population here is growing by 600,000 people a year. So, not great. Okay, but that's not to say that this isn't a great scheme. It's just perhaps not doing as much as we would like it to do. Those of you that have read about Makoko in the news might have seen as well that eventually, yes, this was built on stilts, but it was destroyed, okay, during a large storm. So currently, if you were to Google or to look up Makoko, you would see that the storm knocked this whole structure down, okay, and they're almost back to square one. So this is threatened massively by climate change, okay, and relies heavily on the climate to be successful. So taking all of those sort of drawbacks into account, it's important now that you start to weigh up and you start to think, well, is this scheme successful in improving quality of life? Or actually, do the points that we've made in red here, the drawbacks, outweigh those positives? Because that's what the exam questions are going to ask you to do. I hope you found this video helpful as a starting point then for getting you thinking about Makoko.